fast. Oh, I want to get away.
You have probably heard about the latest nightmare of passengers trapped on a plane during this past weekend's strange pre-Halloween snowstorm here in the East. JetBlue flight in Hartford. They were begging for a gate. They spent 7 hours parked. No food, no working toilets. Just a disaster over and above the usual pleasures of airline travel. They all wanted to get off the plane, and look where we are now. Our next story is about getting on the plane because someone has figured out a better way to accomplish the often nightmarish process that begins with the announcement that your flight is now boarding. There's no question flying is a joy. In fact, it's often hard to decide which aspect is the most pleasurable. The in-air comforts, the service, the food, just the glamour of it all. We should probably point out these pictures are from the era prior to the invention of middle seats and barefoot passengers sitting next to you enjoying a takeout onion salad. In all seriousness, whatever you think of flying, we can all agree that boarding an aircraft in the modern era is a nightmare. Just ask Ben Stiller.
Okay, where's the fire, huh?
You could not design a more chaotic, stressful, or physically taxing process than boarding an aircraft. And here's the business angle. Airlines only make money when the planes are loaded up and on the move, preferably in the air. Time is money, and for every moment a jet is idling at the ramp, the meter's running for the airline, and we all pay for it eventually.
May I ask you to hold this for me for 1 second?
All of this is why Dr. Jason Steffen set out to find a better way. He's not an airline guy, which may account for his fresh approach. He's a particle astrophysicist from Chicago who is as frustrated as the rest of us with the boarding process.
If you call a block of 5 rows, you'll have 30 passengers all trying to squeeze into those 5 rows, and they get in each other's way.
We would like to invite our customers seated in Zone 2.
The current methods of boarding an aircraft go by a few different trade names. First of all, there's Wilma, and in this case, Wilma stands for Window Middle Aisle.
Happy flying, everybody.
There's also random seating and block boarding. That's where Dr. Steffen comes in, and they already call his plan the Steffen method, and here it is.
So the first person in line would be in the back row in the window seat, and the next person would be 2 rows in front of me, and the next person is 2 rows in front of him, and so forth to the front of the airplane. Then you work your way from the window seats to the middle seats to the aisle seats.
Under the Steffen method, in plain English, on this test airplane, the people who tried it pretty much came on board, put their stuff away, and sat the hell down. Something else you should know, this airplane is inside a Hollywood soundstage named Air Hollywood. It's where Kristen Wiig most recently displayed the wondrous effects of Valium and alcohol in combination in Bridesmaids.
Party with the best of them.
And up in the front, that's not just any cockpit. This cockpit gave us the greatest and most famous cockpit scene in modern cinematic history.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
The idea of using Hollywood to test out a scientist's theory came from this guy who's starting up a new TV show.
This versus that.
It's a show that tests better ways of doing established things. And so with this plane and these extras, the Steffen method was born. So the next time you hear boarding rows 15 or higher, or all the passengers holding a Zone 1 boarding card, remember Dr. Steffen. He's trying to make it better.
Thank you for your cooperation and welcome aboard.
There are always going to be exceptions during boarding. Families with children, folks with physical challenges, the fancy folks up front in first class, those groups are probably always going to be invited to board first. But it's what happens after that, the real boarding process, that could be so much better. And a word of warning tonight, they still haven't come up with a solution to annoying jittering guy who's sitting in your row, won't leave the tray table or the arms of the seats alone.
What's the movie tonight?
More on him later. After the break, Kate Snow's investigation of an industry in this country called birth tourism.